My husband introduced my affair partner to his boss 3 months after I left him. At the time, I thought it was the beginning of a disaster. Instead, it became the moment I realized I had misunderstood my husband completely. The affair had already destroyed my marriage. There isn't a nicer way to say it. There isn't a version of the story where I was the victim. There isn't a hidden detail that changes what happened. I was unhappy. I met Ryan. I made choices. And eventually, those choices ended a 14-year marriage. No one ever screamed, never threw things, never exposed me publicly. He simply asked one question the night everything came out. Do you love him? I remember sitting at the kitchen table unable to answer, because the truth was complicated. I thought I loved Ryan. I thought I knew what love was. Mostly I was chasing the feeling of being wanted. Noah looked at me for a long time, then nodded, and that was the end. The divorce moved surprisingly fast. No long legal battles, no ugly custody fights, no attempts to destroy each other. Just paperwork, signatures, and silence. Ryan and I officially started dating almost immediately afterward. Everyone expected us to be happy, including us. And for a while we were. The first few months felt exciting. New apartment, new routines, new life. It felt like proof that I'd made the right choice. Then reality arrived. The problem with building a relationship on excitement is that eventually excitement becomes normal life. The butterflies disappear, the stolen moments disappear, and you're left with actual compatibility. Ryan was ambitious, very ambitious. He talked constantly about promotions, career goals, networking, future plans. I admired that about him. At first. Eventually, it became exhausting. Every conversation seemed connected to work somehow. Every dinner became strategy. Every social event became an opportunity. Ryan wanted more. Always more. More money, more status, more recognition. Nothing was ever enough. One evening, he came home unusually excited. I got invited. Invited where? A leadership event. I nodded, not understanding why it mattered. Then he grinned. The CEO is going to be there. Suddenly, everything made sense. Ryan worked for a large regional company, the kind where senior leadership rarely interacted with regular employees. Getting access to executives was a big deal. Ryan spent the next week preparing. New suit, new haircut, practicing introductions, researching people. It became an obsession. The event was held at a hotel downtown. Employees and executives mingled for several hours. Ryan called me afterward, sounding disappointed. What happened? I never got the chance. The chance for what? To meet him. The frustration in his voice surprised me. Apparently, the CEO had spent most of the evening surrounded by directors and vice presidents. Ryan never got close enough to introduce himself. For the next several days, he complained about it constantly. Then something strange happened. The following Friday, he came home looking confused. Not angry, not upset, confused. You're never going to believe this. What? Ryan stared at me, then laughed. I met the CEO. I smiled. That's great. No. He shook his head. You don't understand. Then he told me the story. Earlier that afternoon, he'd been called into a conference room unexpectedly. He assumed he'd done something wrong. Maybe a project issue. Maybe a performance review. Instead, he walked inside and found 3 people sitting there. His department director, the CEO, and Noah. My stomach dropped immediately. Noah? Ryan nodded. He was sitting right there. I stared at him, completely lost. What was Noah doing there? Ryan looked equally confused. That's what I asked. The answer came a few seconds later. Noah and the CEO were friends. Not business acquaintances, not professional contacts. Friends. Apparently, they'd known each other for years. Golf trips, family events, vacation stories, the kind of friendship that existed far outside the office. I sat there speechless, because Noah had never mentioned it. Not once. Not during our marriage. Not ever. Ryan continued. The CEO introduced him. My stomach tightened. What did he say? Ryan laughed again. The kind of laugh people use when they still can't process something. He said, Ryan, I'd like you to meet Noah. He tells me you're dating his ex-wife. I closed my eyes. Oh no. That's exactly what I thought. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Ryan continued. I expected it to be awful. I did too. Honestly, I expected worse. Humiliation, awkwardness, something, anything. Instead, Ryan described the exact opposite. Noah stood up, shook his hand, smiled, then said, It's nice to finally meet you. That was it. No sarcasm, no hostility, no passive-aggressive comments. Nothing. Just basic courtesy. Ryan looked genuinely unsettled while telling me, What's wrong? He leaned back on the couch. Nothing. Clearly something. Ryan stared at the ceiling, then said something I didn't expect. I think I wanted him to hate me. The sentence surprised me, because I understood it immediately. Hatred would have been easier. Hatred would have made sense. Hatred would have fit the story we'd created in our heads. Instead, Noah was polite, professional, calm. That made everything harder. What happened after that? Ryan shrugged. We talked. About what? Work, mostly. The answer somehow felt impossible. Ryan explained that the CEO eventually left for another meeting, leaving the two of them alone for almost 20 minutes. 20 minutes, just Noah and Ryan, the husband, and the man who helped end his marriage. I couldn't imagine anything more uncomfortable. Yet according to Ryan, the conversation remained completely normal. Projects, career goals, industry trends, professional advice. At one point, Noah even recommended a certification program that could help Ryan advance. I stared at him. He did what? Ryan nodded. He spent 15 minutes helping me. The room felt strangely quiet, because suddenly neither of us knew what to do with that information. A week later, something even stranger happened. Ryan received a promotion. Not because of Noah, not directly, but the leadership team had noticed his work. And apparently, the CEO remembered him from that meeting. The promotion came with a substantial raise, a larger office, more responsibility. Everything Ryan had been working toward. That night, we celebrated at dinner. Halfway through the meal, I asked the question neither of us had addressed yet. Do you think Noah helped? Ryan considered it, then shook his head. No. The answer surprised me. He could have hurt me. Ryan took a sip of his drink. That would have been easier. I knew exactly what he meant. If Noah had badmouthed him, made accusations, created problems, everyone would have understood. Instead, Noah had done nothing. Nothing except behave like an adult. And somehow that carried more weight. Months passed. Life continued. Then, nearly a year later, I attended a charity event. One of those crowded networking dinners where everyone knows someone. Near the end of the evening, I saw Noah standing near the bar. We hadn't spoken in months. Part of me considered leaving. Instead, I walked over. The conversation started awkwardly, then gradually became comfortable. Eventually, I mentioned Ryan's promotion. Noah smiled. Good for him. The response felt genuine, which made me ask the question I'd been carrying for almost a year. Why were you nice to him? Noah looked confused. What do you mean? You had every reason not to be. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then he laughed softly, not mockingly, just thoughtfully. Finally, he said, "Because I wasn't trying to win." I frowned. What? Noah looked out across the room, then back at me. When everything happened, I spent a few weeks angry. I nodded. That seemed normal. Then he continued. But eventually I realized something. I waited. The marriage was already over. The words hurt. Not because they were cruel, because they were true. Noah continued. Hurting him wasn't going to fix anything. Neither of us spoke. After a moment, he added, and helping him wasn't really helping him. I frowned. What does that mean? He smiled. It means I was helping myself. I still didn't understand. Noah shrugged. I didn't want the worst thing that happened to me to determine the kind of person I became afterward. The sentence stayed with me long after the conversation ended. Years later, it's still the thing I remember most. Not the affair, not the divorce, not the awkward meeting. That sentence, because for a long time I viewed Noah's behavior as strength, then as forgiveness. Eventually I realized it was something else entirely. Freedom. The kind that comes when someone stops letting other people's choices control their character. Ryan expected a confrontation. I expected a confrontation. The CEO probably expected one too. Instead, Noah introduced himself, shook a hand, had a conversation, and walked away. Not because he forgot what happened, not because it didn't hurt, but because he understood something the rest of us hadn't learned yet. You don't prove your worth by becoming the worst version of yourself when someone hurts you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to become someone else at all.